welcome to Moms That Matter Monday. It is May, and this month we are talking about it's okay to not be okay, and we are focusing on motherhood and mental health. So I want to welcome moms and ladies that are joining us this month. This is our episode number 4. We're super excited about. And so today we're going to chat a bit about motherhood and mental health in comparison of Mental Health Awareness Month. And that is why I'm wearing green. You can kind of see on my back, it's got the Moms That Matter logo. I got this sponsored from Underground Printing here in Bloomington, so I appreciate them for doing that for me. So as a mom who has dealt with mental health, mostly anxiety and depression, since I was about 16 years old, I love to advocate for mental health. Now, the reason I like to advocate for mental health awareness is because I have seen and been through the bad and the dark side of mental health in general. And I have also seen the good that can truly come from going through all of those obstacles and trials. And mental health is not a pretty thing. It's not, I don't think it's meant to be a pretty thing. And so when we go through that, we grow and we learn who we are, and we can just take things as they come. And so my mental health definitely has changed when I became a mom to my first kid at the age of 19. So I thought I could do it all on my own and get some help here and there. Then when I had my daughter 3 years later in 2011, at the age of 22, I went through what they call postpartum psychosis. And I would literally black out and do some very mean things to my daughter's dad and people around me that I did not realize I was doing. So postpartum psychosis is very serious. It's a severe type of depression after you have kids, kind of similar to postpartum depression, but it is a lot more severe. And when I started looking at the statistics of this, I found that it is less common, but it is more severe. And I found that 2 in every 1,000 new moms deal with postpartum psychosis. And we're not going to talk a whole lot about postpartum psychosis today, but we are going to talk about mental health, and that is a part of mental health. And that really brought out a darker side of my mental health that I did not think I needed to get taken care of. And until I woke up from one of my episodes and my mom was sitting there, and I knew that it was not a good situation, and I needed to ask for some help. And it is okay to ask for help. And I think that's where we get stuck sometimes, is that as a mom, we think we have to do it all on our own, and we don't. So I did end up going through therapy and getting on my first depression medicine when I was the age of 22, after having mental health issues since I was 16. So it took me a very long time to accept the fact that I had a mental illness and to be able to take care of it. After a few months, it seemed things would get better. And so I want you moms to know today that you are not alone. However, it is okay to get help. Like, that is the biggest message I want to send to any moms today on mental health awareness, is that if you are dealing with that, it is completely 100% okay to ask for help. As moms, we need to make sure we are taking care of ourselves so we can fully take care of our families. Because if our cup is not fully full or even partially full, and we're not giving ourselves that time and that attention that we need for ourselves, then we can't be the best parent that we can be for our families. So moms have stressors that come our way all the time. Like, it is not something you can jump around. It is not something you can dodge. It happens. Moms So moms, they're just that center person in the household. And I feel like sometimes they get attacked the most in situations, thinking that they're the most vulnerable, because they are the heart of the family. I always call the dad the backbone of the family, and the mom is the heart of the family. That's just how I look at it. And so finding a way to relax and tell yourself you need 20 minutes in a day is okay. It is perfectly fine. So later down the road, I met someone and I got married. And this period of my life got very hectic, very fast. And I thought I was on cloud nine. I thought I was the happiest person in the world. And then my depression got very dark. And I think a lot of my depression got dark because of situations I put myself into, because of the stress in the family, just a lot of things going on in my life. My depression just ended up getting worse. And I think especially since I wasn't dealing with my depression, I just kept kind of putting it on the back burner. That also made it worse. And so I kept covering it up and hiding it and telling everyone else I'm A-okay, everything's great. I'd put a smile on my face. And so I ended up just sitting and telling myself I couldn't do it anymore. And watching my kids and then seeing me behind closed doors, I just wasn't being the person that I needed to be. And so I ended up admitting myself to a mental health facility. And it took time to clear my mind, get me in therapy and support group sessions that I needed to be in with other women, and get put on the medicine that I needed to be put on as well. And so that really helped. And I came out of that and I ended up getting in a divorce. I ended up moving to a different state, meeting my current husband. And my whole life just kind of changed after that experience for the better, because I walked out of that facility knowing I had to take care of me first. I had to do what was best for me so that I could do what was best for my kids. And sometimes you have to make those decisions. And so my biggest fear going into that facility was losing my kids. Because there was something wrong with me, because I wasn't mentally stable, because at that time I was suicidal. Like, there was different things that were going through my head, and I was just like, if I admit myself, I know my kids are going to get taken away. They're not going to be there when I get out, right? That was like completely opposite of what had happened. I built a stronger relationship with my kids when I got out. I got to be a better mom to them when I was out of that facility, and I just felt so much more like myself. And starting afresh in a new life as well, and making those choices that I knew I had to make, just made it so much easier at that time after going through all of that. And maybe you feel that way too. Maybe you feel like you can't do it because you're scared your kids are going to get taken away, or because you don't want someone thinking that you're a bad mom or anything like that. But when you don't take care of yourself, it's probably the worst thing that you could do for yourself. So if you want to be a better mom and you want to make sure you're there for your kids and having them understand, it's the best thing to do for yourself is to get help. So here are some statistics to think about. Number 1, mental health affects 1 in 5 women during pregnancy, childbirth, or postpartum. 2, worldwide, approximately 10% of pregnant women and 13% of postpartum women experience some type of mental health disorder. Number 3, in the US, 1 in 8 women experience postpartum depression, and half of those women go untreated. I was probably one of those half. Actually, I would say I was one of those half. And we'll talk about treatment and things to help with mental health a little bit later in the show. Number 4, mental health can impact parent and infant bond, potentially affecting the child's growth and development. And I have seen this. If I look at the difference between my son, who is 17, his development and I look at my 14 and my 4-year-old's development, it's totally different. And it's not because they're boy and girls. It's because when I had my son, I was in a very unstable mental state, and that affected our relationship. We were really close, but I think when I was going through that mental health, I relied on him more than he had to rely on me. And that wasn't fair on his end. And I think that kind of determined some of his developmental capacities. And then my daughters, I have a good speaking relationship with my daughter. My second daughter's dad. We're very co-parent and we're friends and things like that. So that kind of helps. And so I didn't have to go through as much mental state. I feel like when she was growing up. And then you have my 4-year-old. Now, my 4-year-old, I'm at the point in my life where I know what my triggers are. I know what my boundaries are. I know personally, if I'm feeling overwhelmed and my mental health is kicking in and I'm feeling very down, I can communicate that with her dad and take myself out of the situation for a little bit, and he can take over. So there's just different situations that affect the kids differently, and your mental health is an impact in that. So just kind of a thought to think about. Number 5, 23% of younger moms aged 20 and younger experience postpartum depression symptoms compared to moms over the age of 20 at 11.6%. That number just kind of I thought that was crazy. To me, very drastic percentages from younger moms to older moms. And I feel like the moms are getting younger as generations go on, and they just need more support and more help from us, and they don't feel like they can have that sometimes. So I think it's really good for moms to be there for other moms, especially the younger moms. Approximately 68% of women and 57% of men with mental health problems are parents. Now, this is not saying don't be a parent because you're going to have to deal with mental health. This just means being a parent brings on stress situations, and stress situations bring on mental health situations. So how you react to them is going to determine how bad your mental health can possibly get. Because you can be a parent, you can be in stressful situations, but how you deal with it means everything. And your kids will see that when you're dealing with stuff like that. So maternal mental health disorders, I thought this one was crazy. Maternal mental health disorders such as suicide and opioid overdose are responsible for nearly 1 in 4 maternal deaths in the US. And that is within a year. And I just think that is crazy. And so there's things that I do in the community, like I help out these pregnancy resource centers, which is a great way to give back to the community because of my story and what I've been through, and helping younger moms that are going through all of that, so then they don't feel so alone. So why do we go through this? Why do we feel this way? Why do we deal with mental health on a daily basis in our lives? And I researched this and I came up with motherhood can lead to structural changes in our brains, particular areas of social cognition, and can last up to 2 years postpartum. So within those 2 years, you're feeling disconnected from people. You're experiencing friends not being around that were around because you're a parent now and you have kids. And I have been through all of those situations. And so it affects you. And you need to be able to have that group around you to be able to support you and talk to you and confide in you and trust you to be able to be open and honest. So you need to be able to have that support system. And without that support system, I feel like it triggers your mental health way more than if you were to have a support system that you can go to. And the only reason I say this is because I've been in both scenarios. So when I had my son and my first daughter, I did not have the friends that I thought. I had friends, but not the ones that I needed, if that makes any sense. Now with my 4-year-old, I have these amazing women in my life that I can call and talk to and ask a question, they give me advice, and they've been through similar situations, so they know. And like, it's a totally different dynamic from when I raised my other two kids. And so having that support system helps your mental health so much. And so now think if you go untreated, how much more that statistic can affect you, how much more it affects your structural change after having a kid. So as mom, it is normal to feel tired and overwhelmed, but we as moms also need to come up with ways to release the overwhelmed part and make sure we get enough sleep. And I can tell you, as a mom who's worked 3 jobs while having kids and was hardly a part of probably about 5 years of their lives, getting the sleep aspect makes a huge difference. And I know it's hard when you have a newborn and when you have a baby, and sometimes even when you have a toddler, because they wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom. But getting an accurate amount of sleep helps so bad. It helps so much. So what can we do to help mental health in ourselves? So I've thought of a few things. One is find something you like to do that is relaxing. For me, I have found out that diamond painting helps me. I'll get little facials from the Dollar Tree and put them in a little cubby underneath my sink. And when I feel like I need to like decompose or like relax, I'll go grab one of those after my daughter goes to bed at night. And that just kind of helps too, the process of like just relaxing at the end of the day. I like to go on walks. I like to read. When I have my moments of feeling overwhelmed, I've learned to stop everything that I'm doing. I need a drink. To stop everything that I'm doing and pray. That is one thing I have learned in the last 3 years of having Ava that has helped me not react in situations I think I would have reacted with my other 2 kids. And so talking to our Heavenly Father is what we're meant to do. We're supposed to have that conversation. We're supposed to have that relationship with Him. That's what we are here for. That's what we're made for. And so just take advantage of it. And sometimes speaking those words out loud too just kind of helps yourself like relax and understand the situation a little bit more than just, instead of just feeding on the moment of being overwhelmed and exhausted. Be communicative with those around you that you trust. For me, it's my husband and a handful of other moms that I know I can talk to or grab a coffee with. I know there's been numerous times in the last couple of years after having Ava that I've called a friend up and said, hey, let's go get a coffee. I need to talk. There's been moms that I've known that have contacted me and said, hey, this, and this is going on. I'm like, okay, let's go meet for a coffee now. Like, not tomorrow, not next week. Let's do it now in the moment so you can kind of get yourself out of the situation and relax a little bit and kind of get off your chest what you need to get off your chest. Because when we hide it, it just makes it so much worse, right? So that is one thing, just being communicative with those around you that support you and love you and care about you. If I'm home, I can straight up, I mean, we watch Bluey like it's going out of style sometimes. So we know the 20-minute episode of Bluey where the mom goes in the room for 20 minutes, tells the kids not to bother her. So that is my code to my husband. When I am feeling overwhelmed or exhausted and need some time to relax, I will sit there and give him a look, and he will look back at me and say, you need your 20 minutes. We call it mommy 20 minutes. That's what we need. And I just go in the room, shut the door, and I just have my 20 minutes. And there's times where he needs that too. Women, if you're married, your husband sometimes needs 20 minutes too. Like, your kid probably stresses your husbands out sometimes just as much as they stress you out. So it's okay to share that correspondence with your husband. The next one, don't be afraid to ask for help. I've mentioned this before already. this has always been hard for me. I am not a person to ask for help because that's just not how I was raised. And I have to think to myself, God created us and put us on this planet to do everything, God did not create us or put us on this planet to do everything alone and then feel worse when we end up failing. Like, that is just not our concept of our being. That's not what we're here for. We're not here to fail. We're not here to feel horrible about ourselves. We're not here for any of that. We are here to be with other people, you know, be that support system for them, not be alone, and live life together. And so the next one is just knowing it's okay to not be okay. That is okay. Listen to your body. This is something I have learned in the last year, that listening to my body, knowing my triggers, what makes me overwhelmed, what my limits are, what are my boundaries, when to say no, which is so hard for moms. But we need to learn those things, and that will help affect where our mental health is when we can learn those things and narrow those things down, then that helps our mental health. My mental health journey has consisted of ways and things like anxiety out of nowhere. I get these anxiety and panic attacks. You'll see a rash across my chest, even when I'm in a group of 2 people. Pageants has really helped me overcome a lot of that. I'm still dealing with it on a daily basis. But like, if I get excited about a conversation or passionate about a conversation that I'm having with someone, I'll start talking really fast, and you'll hear the off breathing in my breaths and my words. And so that is something that I'm dealing with. And that's another reason why I kind of got this podcast too, so I can kind of help work on that. And then hiding myself away from the world, done that many times. I call it my closet, which is now, I used to call it my damage closet. Now I call it my prayer closet, because I don't go in there and do the things I didn't want to do. I go in there and pray now, which is really nice when you can switch your mindset to that kind of thing. Overworking myself to just make it worse. I've worked 3 jobs. I have done 24 hours, 36-hour days. I have overworked myself to hide from the mental health that I was dealing with. Self-harm. I went through a huge phase of many, many years of self-harm, off and on, because I had so much anger to myself for feeling how I felt at times. It wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right, and I would get mad at myself. And so these people that deal with self-harm, don't look at them like they're a horrible person, because they're not. They are dealing with something internally that we don't know. And so just comforting them and being there for them is the best thing sometimes people can do, because if they're getting help, they're trying to get better. And that is a big deal and makes a big difference. So, and then there was times that I went through of not eating, where I would be in this big dark mental state and I just wouldn't eat, or I would overeat sometimes. I'm an emotional eater, so I will overeat if I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed or things like that. But I've noticed those things now in the last couple of years of watching what my patterns are and what I do. But when I realized I wasn't alone, and that I was created for a bigger purpose, which a lot of this took place in 2020. 2020, I turned my life around when I had emergency surgery. When I found that, or when I realized laying in an emergency room that I was created for a bigger purpose because I lived through a surgery that I probably should not have, it changed how I reacted to my mental health. And so I've learned it's okay to tell my husband I'm not okay. It's okay to go see a doctor for symptoms that I'm feeling. I have learned to be completely open and honest with my doctor of how I'm feeling, so we can treat it and make sure that I'm getting the treatment that I need to be a better person and a better mom for my family. So don't feel that you're ever alone, because you're not. Most of us moms are feeling the same way, probably 90% of the time. And don't feel like you need to hide when you're not okay. You don't need to hide. Find someone that you can trust and can confide in and can open up to, because you will see a complete difference in your mental health after you find that person or the circle of people that you can really count on and communicate with and how you're feeling, that won't judge you. That's the other thing that we always feel. We always feel like we're being judged, right? And once you get in your mindset of, I don't care what they think, I don't care what they say, it changes your mentality of how you deal with your mental health also. So, a couple things to ask yourself today. I have 5 questions to ask yourself. So, 1, how am I feeling about life right now? Do I need to go talk to somebody? Number 2, am I overwhelmed and need to find boundaries? Number 3, is my mental health affecting my kids or even your marriage? Is it affecting your marriage if you don't have kids yet? And number 4, what could be the worst that would happen if I got myself some help? I had to ask myself that a couple of times. What is the worst thing that can happen? You know, as children of God, He has us, right? Better or worse, through thick and thin. God has us. He wants the best for us. So when you sit there and think of that question, what is the worst that could happen? Just know that your God has you and He has you taken care of. So you don't need to be afraid of it, of being open and honest of your mental health. And number 5, when's the last time I've done something for me? I want you to really think about when's the last time you've done something for you. Now me, I have pageant this week, so I've done a lot of things for me. And that's okay. Like, I have learned going through pageants that it is okay to find something that you enjoy and putting your heart and soul into that. And my kids see that. My husband sees that. I have that passion for, reaching out to these women and these moms and then presenting on stage what I've accomplished in the last year. And that's just a me thing. And that's something that you have to find. So believe in yourself. Know you are not the only mom feeling this way. Also know there's a Father in heaven that loves you and wants the best for you. There's been so many times I've cried out in my car, that I've fallen on my knees in my prayer closet, which is just my regular closet in my room. And it's okay. You can do this. You can do this thing called motherhood. You can do this thing called being a wife. You can do this thing called fill in the blank. You can do it. But remember, you can't do it alone. You're not meant to do it alone. You are loved, and you need to keep doing your best. That is all that is asked of you from anyone in this world. Don't think anything otherwise. Just keep doing your best, Mom. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time in June for our next episode, number 5. See you later.